Yo guys, what is good? Welcome to the Uncle Sharma channel. Welcome to the first match reaction of the Euro 2020. And what a match reaction and what a star-studded lineup and what a performance from Italy. 3-0 from the boys in blue, from the Azzurri. We couldn't ask for a better opening match. And to join me, we got, YouTube royalty in the house with RABONATV, Adrian, and also Calcio podcast royalty with Sam Adamo from the Calcio podcast. How you doing, my guys?
Good.
I'm in a great mood. I'm in a great mood to start off this tournament. I don't know if I'd really put myself in the same category as Adrian. He's got a little bit more following than I have, and he's been in the game a little longer. But I'll take any. I'll ride his coattails. I'll take any praise I can get. But not that I need it. I'm in a great mood today after that excellent first display from us. Thanks for having us on, Rahul. Much love, my guy.
Adrian, what are you saying? I know you just talked for like 2 hours. You just did a live watch along for your audience, and I can see your audience is going mad. So shouts out to you and your audience who are watching us right now. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I had to throw on the top to jump on that bandwagon. Italia all the way. It was a great match. It's a little toasty in here, but I'm good. I'm happy. I'm ready to look at this match with you guys. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. Sam, you as the real, you're the Italy fan. You're Italian through and through. You tell me, like, I was so impressed with that performance, even in the first half when it was 0-0. The way Italy controlled that match, the way they pressed high, the way they didn't let Turkey breathe. Okay, maybe they didn't create any clear-cut chances, but I was so impressed, and I feel like we deserve that 3-0 scoreline was so deserved. And what do you make of it, man?
I think the thing that I'm most happy about is the fact that I'm not really surprised. It wasn't an out of nowhere performance from us. And we've been putting teams away like this for quite some time now. So great to see us keep the momentum going. But what I think was most impressive was just the fact that, and again, I don't know if this is because Turkey maybe just play this way all the time. I haven't really followed them that diligently in qualifying. I know they had a pretty good campaign, but I know that it seemed like they tended to sit back pretty much from minute one. I don't know if that's because they were like, you know what, we're going into Italy's barn. We're going into their territory. It's going to be hostile. There's going to be fans, and they're a better, more creative side than we are. So let's just sit on it and wait it out. I don't know. But
Andrea Bocelli pre-match,
that's a tough act to follow. But I really do think that we imposed our method of play very well, which is to say we own possession, and I think we were sort of looking for openings a little bit in the first half that weren't quite there. But once we sort of got some of the rust off, I guess once we sort of started figuring out where the openings might come in the second half, it opened right up for us, and yeah, so just really impressed with a lot of the little triangular play atop the box. Didn't always pan out, but again, in the first half, but in the second half, I thought it was a little bit more, definitely more fruitful. But also, I think the way that we were putting them on their heels was in large part because we were wearing them down, and they got tired eventually. It's very difficult to defend like that for a very long time. We got a comment from Frost PK saying Turkey was a bit overhyped. Not surprising. Man, boys, what did you make of this? Because I as much as I love to jump on my boys and hype them up, I couldn't help but think Turkey were not very impressive.
Yeah. I previewed the match yesterday with a Turkey fan. I'm not sure if you guys watched it, and he kind of when you're watching it with the guy, he was so passionate, and he's like telling me about all these good things. I'm like, oh shit, man, maybe we need to watch out from Turkey. And I was actually, even before I talked to him, I was worried about Turkey because of their defensive record, Demiral, Soyuncu at the back. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed. What did you make of Adrian as a neutral? Obviously you don't have a allegiance to either of the teams really. How did you feel of the match as a neutral?
I mean, that first half definitely felt like first match of a tournament match, didn't it? It was tough to watch at times. You could tell that Turkey were from the outset playing for a 0-0. It felt like, because and that's something that we're going to see a lot, I think, is because those third place teams get through. I think a lot of people are going to say, as long as we don't lose, we're going to be moving toward a potential advancement in this tournament. But that said, in the second half, I was nervous for Italy a little bit when Under came on. I thought that he might be able to sort of scorch him on the counter, but once he got that goal, he almost did. once you got that goal, you just needed that little bit of luck to open things up. Demiral trying to play dodgeball and he failed. But
shout out to the Juve, Demiral.
But once that opening came, you knew that it was just going to open the game right up, and it did, because Turkey had to push. They couldn't play for that 0-0 anymore, and once things opened up, there was only one outcome, and you saw the class from Italy. They started to get more comfortable on the ball. They started to get those passes connecting, and it was a completely deserved win, and by that margin as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let me just quickly share the stats from the game. Can you guys see? Share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can see. I mean, complete domination there from Italy. 24 shots for Italy, 3 from Turkey, 0 on target, 8 on target for Italy, 64% possession, 36 for Turkey. Like you can just see that was complete domination. And I don't remember any clear-cut chances for Turkey, so I was disappointed from them. On the counter-attacks, as you said, Cengiz, I think he probably should have started for Turkey, I would say, right? Because they were looking to counter-attack, but they had like no, Burak Yilmaz is 35 years old on the counter-attack, poor guy trying to start counter-attacks. And Çalhanoğlu, I mean, this guy, Milan fans will tell you this guy does not deserve the 7 million salary that he's demanding, and it looks like Milan are not going to give it to him, and I don't think he's going to find it if he's going to perform at the Euros like he did today. So he was a very disappointing performance from me, Çalhanoğlu, today. What did you guys make of the Turkey team? And then we can move on to the Italian guys.
Listen, I don't know how much of a creative side they really are, and I don't know that Çalhanoğlu is a guy that's necessarily going to do it all on his own. He's a 10. He's a 10 above all else. I know he kind of drops a little bit deeper in the Turkish side. He has a little bit more responsibility. Is that correct? Did he really play out on the left-hand side for the entirety
I think
of the game?
He moved all over the place. I think
Anyway, whatever it looked like on paper, it certainly looked like he had to drop a little bit deeper when you watch the game. Yeah. So I guess he can't really be as effective from those positions. Let's be honest. That's not really where he's most lethal. As you said, though, I like what you said about Yilmaz not really being able to launch a counterattack on his own, because he's never been that player, really, from what I've seen of him at Galatasaray. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the legs are a little bit heavier at his age, but I don't know that even in his youth he was really like a guy that would just go blinders on and just steam toward the goal. He was a little bit more lethal around the box. So I mean, I don't know that they necessarily play to their strengths, but again, the Italy side are very. I mean, it's a very seasoned defense. A lot of people, I know we'll get to Italy in a little bit. A lot of people seem to think that our defense was maybe a little bit of a weak point, and I know we haven't really been tested super difficult, super heavily yet, but I thought it was just a case of us knowing of two center halves who have been in big games, who knew how to manage games. Mm-hmm. This was light work for them in a lot of ways. But I agree. I think Under probably should have gotten the start. They didn't have a whole lot of creativity or speed, and if you're going to play a counter-attacking style, you probably want to look to get him in the next game. So that'll be an interesting one to see how it pans out on Wednesday when they play next.
Yeah, and I was especially disappointed in Yazici for Turkey. I thought that he was going to be one of the standout players. Him and Yilmaz had a great season at Lille, and in fact, I mean, launching an entire counter by yourself is going to be difficult for Yilmaz. But that's not to say that he doesn't have the legs, because he's shown that a few times. I thought that he made a mess of that opportunity where he actually had the better of, I believe it was Chiellini or something, and they just threw himself to the ground because of a bad touch. But yeah, I was very disappointed in Yazici in particular. I don't know if he went off because he was injured or just because he was so, trash in that game, in that first half. But Under will definitely get the start, and I'll be interested to see how they do against the rest of the teams in the group. But against Italy, the golfing class was just way too big for them.
Yeah, no, I agree with the both of you. And let's move on to Italy. As I said, very impressive performance. I don't really find like a flop of the match, so to say. But in my personal opinion, the guy who I was most impressed with today, in my personal man of the match, is Leonardo Spinazzola on the left back. I think he was so impressive going up and down that left wing back or left back position. I think he had the most dribbles completed today as well, and a lot of the goals came from him. The Immobile goal from his shot. He created loads of chances as well. He's solid defensively. He was my man of the match. What about you guys? Sam, who would you say was the man of the match for you?
I might have to go with Spinazzola as well. And what's funny, bro, is that going into the game, when I saw the lineup, he was probably the guy I was most surprised to have seen start.
Really?
because I thought it was a toss-up between Berardi and Chiesa. Berardi did very well in the friendlies the last week, so that wasn't a huge shock. Chiesa also does very well off the bench. I think in an international situation like this, where you want to obviously spread out the way that you'll. Let me put it to you this way: when you're a world-class country like Italy or Portugal or Germany, you have a bunch of really top players at your disposal. So I wasn't surprised to see a guy like Chiesa, despite the great season that he had, not get the start, because you think that he'll probably wind up having a role to play later in the tournament. And I think in this particular side, because he provides a little bit of energy and provides something different than Berardi, you maybe look to him if you have a little bit of a slower right-hand side. I don't know, with Florenzi and Di Lorenzo, you could see it maybe happening at one point that Chiesa will come into a game maybe from the 50th, 60th minute. So again, wasn't shocked there. Locatelli surprised a lot of people, but I mean, it was because Verratti was injured.
Yeah.
The reason I was surprised that Spinazzola started was because I sincerely thought that Emerson Palmieri, despite the fact that he doesn't play a whole lot at Chelsea, pretty much has always impressed whenever he's been with Italy, and he's a pretty dynamic, modern attacking fullback. I've liked him when I've seen him in Azzurro. So if I had to guess, I would have guessed he would have got the start.
And Mancini clearly seems to always start him as well, right?
But you know what? Credit where it's due, because Spinazzola looked very good on the ball. And I think it's fair to say, I was talking about Di Lorenzo and Florenzi on the right-hand side, not providing a ton offensively. Certainly not the level of energy that you get from a guy like Spinazzola, but we really have a lot of options on the left-hand side of that defensive four, because Emerson or Spinazzola both play a very similar game. I don't know how Emerson gets into the next game now. You have to start Spinazzola again. Yeah. And frankly, listen, as a Juventino, it hurt me a little bit because I don't get to watch him a ton at Roma. But we've had a little, not to divert too much from the Nazionale talk, but we have a little bit of a left-back issue at the moment. We don't have a ton of left-back depth. We swapped him for Luca Pellegrini a few years ago, who's not played a senior match for us yet. And, you see what you're missing. He's still got those legs. He'll have him for another number of years, but he's also very good technically on the ball. Yeah. In ways that our right-backs aren't. So
he's actually was close to joining Inter as well. He was supposed to be Politano swap with Spinazzola, and Politano actually was at the Roma airport holding up the Roma scarf and everything. Like, the deal was pretty much done, and Spinazzola was in Milan, but he failed his medical. He's got some dodgy knees. He was a little bit like the original Stefano Sensi, Spinazzola. So now he got himself fit. But yeah, what did you make, Adrian? Who was your man of the match? Do you agree with us with the Spinazzola? Or do you like someone else?
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. It's Spinazzola for me. That's what I was saying on my stream. Just how much he offered down that left side, because you saw in that first half, Italy was actually trying to go through Berardi down the right at the beginning of the match. Mm-hmm. But he just didn't have that support from Florenzi going forward. But then they switched over to all their attacks down that left side, and Spinazzola was just the biggest threat that they had in the attack for the first part of the match, at least. So yeah, for me, it's a clean sweep. And as you mentioned, he had that involvement in the second goal, Immobile's goal, where he picked up on Spinazzola's rebound. So I think that it's absolutely, he was the most impressive. A shout out to Chiellini as well. I thought that he played an extremely clean game. He had that big Hollywood tackle at the end as well to block. I don't know if it was Yilmaz's strike or who it was at that point. I was sort of losing interest at times. But yeah, I thought that Chiellini controlled the game extremely well. Came close to getting a header on target in that first half. So yeah, it was a shout out to him as well. Jorginho was really good in the midfield, controlled the game well. He was all over the place, but I think
quietly good, wasn't he?
Exactly. The classic Jorginho sort of performance in that way. And but yeah, I can't look past Spinazzola as being the top player out there.
Less quietly good was Barella, probably another guy who you might. I mean, listen, Spinazzola had such a dominant game down the left-hand flank. He provided so much energy and created the chance for the second goal basically out of nothing. Got a really good shot off as well. Yeah. So I think you have to give it to him. But if there's another honorable mention, Barella did a really good job. He put a really good job in midfield, as you'd expect. Standard stuff from him. You know what to get. You know what you get from him if you watch him in Serie A with Inter, which I'm sure almost probably a majority of the people that listen to this, that watch this particular channel, are aware of. But again, he just, sometimes he would just. There was one play at one point in the second half when he was last man back on a corner kick, and it looked like we might have had a little mix up with, I don't know if it was Bonucci.
I remember
Barella. Little miscommunication. It looked like Turkey might have been able to counter and be clean in on goal with maybe 45 yards to play. But Barella had a nice little touch on the ball, really calm, played the ball forward, and within 10 seconds, we were buzzing above the Turkish box, and Barella was a catalyst in that play as well. He really is box to box. So, it's a taxing game he plays, but he's 24 years old. He could do it, man. Let's use him while he's fresh, and we'll beat Switzerland in a few days' time, and then maybe we can get a little rotation and experimentation in against Wales, I suppose. But I was really impressed with him, and I'm despite the fact that I wasn't surprised.
Yeah. Your boys Bernardeschi's getting killed in the comments, bro.
I'm seeing that. Listen,
the 10-minute cameos leaving some bad taste.
I was watching the game, and he had
Jenk in the house, the guy who did the preview with me yesterday. Unlucky, bro. Yeah.
Commiserations, man.
But yeah, deserved 3 points. Sorry, Sam, continue.
No, Bernardeschi had acres of space going down the right hand side at one point. Mm-hmm. And I told the person I was watching with, don't worry, he's gonna screw up the counterattack. He always fumbles it. I don't know. Sometimes I think when he starts for Italy, so it used to be that when he plays for Italy, he has a lot of confidence. Now I'm saying when he starts for Italy, he has a lot of confidence. But I will say I've seen him come into games as a sub before at Juve, and he often takes a little bit of time to settle in. So I don't know that he's necessarily the guy that you want coming off the bench. He offers something for
what
sure.
What does he offer then? Where do we want him coming then? We don't want him starting. We don't want him coming off the bench. Where do we want him then?
You want him confident. And you want him playing a very similar role to what. Listen, he doesn't play the same game as Berardi. He's a little bit. He cuts in a little bit more than him. Berardi kind of hugs the touchline a little more. Or doesn't hug the touchline, but goes toward the byline, goal line a little bit more often than Bernardeschi. He's a different player. He's a different player.
No, I'll support him. I'm not gonna have any agendas against any players. I'm gonna support every player. So I'm happy to give him another chance, Bernardeschi.
I got a story for you guys about him. I was watching the Supercoppa Italiana at the Olimpico, where the game was tonight in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first game I had ever taken in live, in person, in Italy.
Oh wow!
And Federico Bernardeschi made his debut, his senior debut for the side after transferring from Fiorentina for 40 million. He was a substitute in like the 60th or 70th minute, and it was just not a good game. And I was really excited for him to have signed for us. He was 23 at the time, pretty young guy. He had scored like 11 goals the year before.
Yeah, he was like the Chiesa of the time.
And he just did it. And he just did well. It's a reason why I was a little bit nervous about Chiesa, because there was so much similarity between the two. And for God's sake, they're both named Federico. They both play as right wingers for the same club. But in any event, he came into that game, and I know this is one isolated incident here, but I couldn't help but notice that he seemed to be a little bit, the way he was playing, the decisions he was making, the way I'd seen him play at Fiorentina, he obviously was very much probably overwhelmed, I guess, by the occasion. But then at one point, he motioned to Douglas Costa, switch sides with me. Like, I'm not comfortable on the right, which is his natural position. And then the fans kind of went off on him, just started booing him right there and then, whistling him.
Well, in the first match.
First match, yeah. Not a lot of people, not a lot of people get that because, in the stadium, you don't quite get the same ambiance as you get on television. But yeah, he said, let's substitute. Let's swap positions. I don't feel comfortable on this. It's kind of like when you take a shot and you blame your boots. You know what I mean? Like, let's change. Let's change Douglas. And he wasn't much better on the left hand side. But right there and then, I thought, fuck, he's questioning himself. I can swear on YouTube. Yeah. I thought, fuck, he's questioning himself. I don't know if I like that. Hopefully, he settles in. In the end, he never really did, and he's not quite been the same player since. If he does play again, he'll have a role to play at some point. When he does play again, if and when he does come in again, you want him to just tell himself, I'm the boss, I'm the best. He's not, but he has to go in believing it because he's technically strong enough to have a good impact. He's good with the ball. He's a good dribbler. But yeah, tough 7 minutes from him. top 7 minutes from him. We saw comments saying that Grifo might have been a better addition than him. Hindsight.
What about you, Adrian, man? What did have you watched much of Italy, and what do you make, like, how do you see Italy now moving forward in this tournament? I think a lot of people have woken up to Italy today.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely aware of Italy's record, the 28 matches unbeaten or whatever. I hadn't watched them in qualifying very often. The last time that I remember watching Italy consistently was when Portugal was in the same Nations League group as them, and that was a different side. That was back when I think Mancini was just starting with the Italian national team. So, but that said, I was very, very much impressed. Opposite can be said of that Bernardeschi appearance, of course. A little disaster class, misplaced pass, and then was it the free kick that went straight out or straight into his hands or something like that? It was unfortunate. You hate to see it.
I prefer not to speak.
But no, I think that this Italian side, I'm seeing a lot of like dark horse being mentioned next to Italy, which, as I said in a video of mine, it's jarring putting the dark horse title on Italy's name. But they are a team that I can see going far in this tournament. They're very technically sound. I was a little bit unsure about Bonucci and Chiellini as center back pairing. I would have liked to have seen Bastoni out there personally, but that might be something that comes up later on as you start facing more technically advanced teams that will actually try to attack your back line a little bit more often. You'll see what Chiellini and Bonucci are capable of and if their legs can keep up. But as far as any sort of worries other than that, not really. I was a little bit worried about how Immobile would do, but I think that he had a pretty damn good game, setting up Insigne, getting a goal himself. Insigne, I thought, looked excellent. His decision-making was driving me crazy in the first half. With this, either it was his final ball was poor, or he would shoot when he shouldn't, or he'd try to cut inside 19 times. But I think as the match went on, like the rest of the squad, they just got better and better. So I can see this team, making a fairly deep run. There's not many teams that I would say are absolutely going to batter Italy.
Yeah. What did you think, Sam? Some of the players I was seeing on my Twitter timeline was kind of annoying me, actually, because I was checking in and everyone was going off on Berardi and Locatelli for some reason. They were saying, "Oh, you can see why these two are Sassuolo level players." They're not.
Who was saying that? Berardi had a pretty solid game.
Exactly.
Right from the get-go, he was excellent. And it's no surprise the first goal came from him. The way that he was drawing guys in the first half, I enjoyed seeing him play very much. Yeah. I don't know, man. You gotta stay off of Twitter during big games, man. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. And with Locatelli, I could agree. You could see there was a little bit of nerves with Locatelli, but it's like it's your first big tournament. Like you gotta expect some of these guys to, most of these guys actually, even the older ones, some of them is still their first tournament. Ciro Immobile, this is his first goal in the big tournament. What did you make of Immobile? I thought he was pretty good today in terms of link up. He had a couple of shots, as Adrian said, one assist, one goal. I think he linked up well with Berardi and Insigne. Definitely still room for improvement for Immobile, but that was the big worry for most Italian fans, the number 9 position. But I was pretty happy with Immobile today. What did you make of him?
I agree overall, but I'm very happy that he scored the goal, because if he hadn't, then he still would have had the monkey on his back.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of people critique him over a number of years now, because he hasn't quite done it for Italy as he has for the Azzurri. As he has for club side. Well, whatever, Torino, Lazio. Take your pick. Excuse me. But look, it felt like an international game in so many ways. I don't know if you've ever watched the first game of a World Cup or a Euro in years past. It feels like they're often own goals.
Yeah,
a penalty. Just I don't know. Just there wasn't a penalty in this given game, but it felt like the goal that Immobile scored again.
They could have been the penalty.
Could have been, yeah, for sure.
Arguably, in the first half. The more I see it, the less I think it was one. But whatever. Honestly, yeah, dude. Every time we had the ball, every time we had the ball in the corner, I was thinking, just pump it into the box. They got 10 guys in the box. It's gonna deflect and hit someone's arm. But no, look, Immobile's goal was not spectacular. I think it was indicative of it was a first game of a major tournament type goal. It was off of a rebound. He was in the right spot. Granted, he scores a lot of goals like that at Lazio. He does. It's not something we haven't seen before. So he's just a guy who's often in the right position for sure. But here's what I liked about his game, and I was a bit worried going into the tournament about one specific thing, not the fact that he just hasn't put up the same numbers with the Azzurri as he has with Lazio, but specifically the fact that we play with two wingers in a 4-3-3. He leads the line, but depending on the personnel that he plays with, he doesn't necessarily have anyone to play off of. Like Insigne isn't a guy you play off of. He's a guy you link up with. He's a guy who kind of builds up play and will find you.
Yeah.
I think Berardi is a cool option on the right hand side for the sole fact that he has a little bit of old school forward to him. Sometimes he's not all flair and pace, and Insigne's got a little bit of flair the way he handles the ball. Chiesa's got a whole lot of pace. He's a pretty calming presence on the ball, I find it, and I think he's actually cool to drift in sometimes and allow Immobile to play off with him.
Yeah, so, he's more of a striker than Insigne.
Correct, and because Immobile, again, has had a lot of success at the likes of Torino with like Cerci to play off of, or at Lazio to play off with Correa. I think maybe that's something that he's always lacked with the national team. Even at like Pescara, Insigne was playing in a pretty advanced forward role, and he was playing off of him. I know I just said that Insigne is not a guy you play off of. In the way he currently plays, I believe But at the time, at Pescara, he was definitely someone that Immobile was playing off of. And I remember because my mom's from the area, I watched a fair lot of Pescara.
Yeah, that Pescara team is the streets will never forget type of team.
Yeah, exactly. All this to say, I was worried that if he didn't grab the game by the balls, or grab it by the horns, I don't think, whatever. If he didn't grab the game by the balls, that Belotti might come right in, not just in an effort to change something up, but also because Belotti presses a little bit better. He's more of a runner off the ball. He works harder off the ball than Immobile does. Immobile still leads the press. He did it today, but Belotti does it a little bit more effectively in a way that I think he creates space for wingers. And I don't know that Immobile does that. But you know what? I like what I saw today. To the point that I think it's probably enough to keep rolling with it, unless or until we deem something else as being necessary. By necessity, by through being in a challenging position, maybe just experimenting in a game like the Wales game if we do wind up going ahead and cleaning up the Swiss. But so far, so good. I'm happy with the way he started off, and you can see him if we go on a little run, getting another couple of dirty goals like that. He's not going to be a guy who's going to get anything that's going to make you go wow, but if he keeps being in the right place at the right time, I'm cool with it. I'm happy.
What about the surprise inclusion, Raspadori? Do you think he's going to make any appearance in this tournament? I reckon Mancini's kind of just brought him on just for the experience and just to get the tournament feel. I don't really see him coming on any point. What do you think, Sam, or even Adrian, if you know about Raspadori?
I reckon. Go on, bro.
I know very little about Raspadori just from like the brief research that I've done. I mean, his goal output even for Sassuolo wasn't anything to write home about. I know he's still a very young guy, but I think that if you guys win your next game, then he'll probably play into the third or something like that. Maybe that will be when Belotti plays and then Raspadori comes on in the second half or something. But I can't see him, at least from what I've heard and what I've read, I can't see Raspadori getting much playing time in this tournament.
How would he start? Right?
Yeah,
he comes on as a sub and scores 2 goals maybe. But even then, I'd probably still throw him back on the bench for the sole fact that you don't want to forego the system. You don't want to scrap the system just because one guy had a spark of brilliance. I think he'll only be used in a situation where he'd be probably thrown on for a spark. You're right. His goal record doesn't look like anything to write home about, but he scored a lot of the goals at the end of the season. A lot of the appearances he has, if you just check his stats on paper, it doesn't look like he's got a great goal to game ratio. But at the start of the year, he wasn't a titolare. He wasn't starting off the bat. He wound up getting more important minutes at the end of the year because he had a very hot end of the year. He came on as a sub against Milan, scored a brace against them. I think they drew Milan in that game. Or did they even beat Milan in that game?
I think they beat them.
Did they beat them? Yeah, that rings a bell. In the event, he scored big goals in big games, and he scored them pretty consistently over a tighter period of time. So we kind of went with the hot hand. But Here's where I would see us using him. If you've seen him play, sure, the Wales game. If it's the third game of the group, and we're kind of assured qualification, no problem, send them on definitely. But I think if we throw them on out of necessity or in an effort to kind of get a spark, I think it would be if we're trying to basically get on someone with a little bit more energy. Not to say that Belotti and Immobile don't have it, but he's a little bit when he has the ball top of the box, he's a little bit lower to the ground, lower center of gravity. He's
a
quite
little
good
bit
at
more technical. He's in tighter spaces.
He's quite good at beating one guy in tight space and finishing.
Yeah.
So he just offers something different.
He's the Emilia Romagna Aguero. That's what they're calling him these days.
He's short and stocky like him, and he's a very good finisher like him. I'd be delighted if he had half the career that Sergio Aguero did, but I'm just happy to see him included because Rahul, bro, I'm a youth merchant, my guy.
Yeah, you're a Primavera merchant.
A Primavera merchant. That's exactly it. But I think he'll probably wind up getting some minutes in. If he got one goal, though, I'd be like, I'd be chuffed. I'd be over the moon and probably a little surprised, if we're being honest.
Yeah, man. And let's finish off with the next game. Obviously, we've got Italy. We've got Switzerland on Wednesday, 8:00 once again. Do we keep the same lineup? What do you think, Adrian? Should Italy keep the same lineup? I think it should be the same lineup because there's enough days in between, enough rest in between, and I think the only change should be the one that Mancini made in the start of the second half, Di Lorenzo for Florenzi. I just prefer Di Lorenzo defensively, and I think offensively he can offer the same as Florenzi as well. So that's the only change I would make. What do you think?
Yeah, that's actually a question I was going to ask you guys. Was there anyone based off of this performance that you think does not deserve to start? And the only one that I could really think of was Florenzi, because he wasn't offering anything going forward down that right-hand side. It was sort of the right side was sort of a dud because of it. And, not that Di Lorenzo did a ton in that second half, but you did see more flashes of it where he was combining with people, he was getting in behind, he was trying to make something happen down the right. So I think that will be one that he does make. I'd be curious to see if Chiesa gets a start ahead of Berardi. I wouldn't think so, given the effect that Berardi had on the match down the right side. But I think that the only change that is the most likely is that right back position. Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
Berardi did come off at the end. I don't know how hurt he was. It could have just been a little knock, and 5 minutes left in a 3-0 game, mail it in type of thing. So I think you probably have to start him again if he's healthy. But you don't want to push him either. It's a long tournament. We won our first game, and if you get third place, you're pretty much. Listen, I don't want to just sit on the one win.
No.
We're gonna go for the jugular in every game, but I think we could probably afford to put in a guy like Federico Chiesa or even Bernardeschi. I think we could probably get away with it and win a game with either of them. I think you probably throw on Chiesa in lieu of Berardi if you do want to make a change up, just if you don't want to, you don't want to break him 2 games into the tournament. That's probably one thing I would look out for. Otherwise, I like the idea of maybe starting Di Lorenzo over Florenzi, but let's bear in mind Florenzi had 45 minutes. So to say he didn't have a big effect, it's true, but we also you can make the argument that perhaps we were a little bit stagnant down the right-hand side because he wasn't offering quite as much as Di Lorenzo did, but again, neither are guys who are gonna beat 3 men.
No.
They both get forward. They play simple balls. Florenzi pumps crosses in, and he runs for days. He's been in this position before in international tournaments. He had a pretty decent Euro 2016. He's got a little experience. I think he'll probably see the pitch again, but I wouldn't be shocked if Mancho started Di Lorenzo. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if Verratti's going to maybe get in if he's healthy.
Yeah. That's the thing. I hope they don't rush him. I hope they don't just try to put him in just as, I hope they wait until he's fully, fit to because you don't want to risk injuring him again.
Definitely. Just the same idea as Berardi, right? It's going to be a bit of a marathon. He did say last week he plans on going to the final. So if that's what we're aiming for, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I'd probably say maybe hold off on Verratti for another game. If we don't, if he's maybe not quite 100%. The center back pairings are going to stay this way the whole tournament. Yeah. I'd be shocked if
as long as Chiellini doesn't get injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Regular occurrence.
You are correct, but I think Adrian, you were saying before that you would have liked to have maybe seen Bastoni start. I think it's an idea that sounds good on paper. I would like to see it too because again, I'm a fucking Primavera merchant. But yeah, exactly. But realistically, even though he's a sexier name on paper than Giorgio Chiellini, listen, it's 1 month. This isn't a whole season. You're not playing a guy over 30 games where you want to make sure that the guy, where maybe it's a larger sample size, you could experiment a little more. You just want to stick with one idea of what works. In this case, I think they're stable. The two of them, Bonucci, Chiellini, they've been together for a long time. I think they're going to wind up becoming an immovable object as long as we keep getting clean sheets. So I don't even know how Acerbi, Bastoni, or even Toloi might get into the side. You could see maybe Toloi being like that one guy that's the unused substitute throughout the tournament. But yeah, I would say probably just Chiesa for Berardi, depending on fitness. Di Lorenzo for Florenzi, not based on necessity, but based on what I think might happen. Verratti, depending on his health, because he's a starter over Locatelli all day.
Yeah. But no, thank you guys, man. That's pretty much it. 35 minutes, a great match, great reaction. Enjoyed this with you guys. Hoping to continue to the next match. Give me a quick prediction for the next match, Adrian, and then Sam.
This is up against Switzerland?
Yeah, Switzerland.
Yeah, I actually rate Switzerland as a team pretty highly. They have a really good midfield.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Really good at the back, some really good defenders. I think that Italy will win this one 2-1. But I think that Switzerland are going to make it a little bit more scary than Turkey were. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
I don't hate the idea that Switzerland might nab a goal, but I'll go another clean sheet. I think 2-0. I really do. I can't see us edging out a 1-0 and sitting on our heels. I think we'll probably wind up have a lot more going forward. I think Insigne and Immobile, man, if they get the start and we get one early, I think the Swiss will definitely have to try to come forward, but I think that'll expose them a little bit, especially if Chiesa is playing. He's going to burn them on counterattacks. Maybe there is a pretty good case not to start Bernardeschi just because he's the fucking counterattack killer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with 2-0, man. I'll go with goals from. I'll go with another goal from Insigne, and maybe a goal from midfield. Maybe Barella will get one late on. I think the Swiss will make it a lot more interesting, though. I think they'll probably give us more of a scare.
Yeah.
I think we'll be up 1-0 for a while, and they'll be pushing us, and we'll be having to defend a little bit more than we did today, for sure. Donnarumma barely got a touch in, a couple touches.
Yeah.
And that was it. So.
Mino's probably asking for an extra commission for his client, so being a spectator. But yeah, guys, it was so enjoyable having you two guys on. Anything you guys want to plug? This is your moment. I know Adrian, your gang is already here. So Sam, why don't you tell people about what you kind of do?
Yeah, cheers, mate. So I host and run the Calcio podcast. I've had Adrian and Rahul on very recently, actually. So this is a nice little reunion. Sometimes I go solo. I just riff. I have a really fucked up brain, so sometimes I just go off on crazy, wild tangents.
You really have.
Unrelated to football.
You could leave this man in a room with a microphone, and he would just go for hours.
His last episode with Poli Malinaggi is the first time I heard someone out speaking or speaking more than
respect for listening. But no, you mentioned Paul. You mentioned Poli Malinaggi, 2-time boxing world champion, great guy. Proud Italian from Brooklyn, knows a lot about Calcio. He came on recently. So I think I had Adrian, Rahul, and Paulie on the last 3 episodes. So I like to get guests on, keep it interesting. I've got an episode lined up tomorrow. I'll be doing an episode after every single one of the Azzurri's games. I typically go weekly, but because it's a big month, we're going to be going every single match where people are going to be starved for some content. Obviously, people in the Italian community around the world love to consume Azzurri talk during an international tournament. So I'll be doing that. I'll be delivering. Got a pod lined up tomorrow morning. So we'll continue to do that throughout the tournament. You can follow me anywhere at Calcio Podcast. And yeah, man, Rahul, I love you, my guy. Thank you for having me on. Adrian, Montreal connection, man. This is a nice
Montreal.
Little thing.
Yeah, an unexpected little link up here, but yeah, it was a fun one. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. You can check it out if you want. RABONATV. That's it. I'll be doing some coverage during the Euro 2020, daily, pretty much, watch-alongs, videos, all that stuff.
Yeah. Adrian's tired. This guy's been doing a watch along.
Man, I'm tired. I'm hot. We got 28 degrees back up in here. I'm a tired guy. I'm sorry.
Adrian, I'm still trying to get the permit from the city of Montreal to host an event next week. So I'm not ghosting you. I'll keep you posted if it's going on. You'll hear about it for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Have they even replied? I'd be surprised.
They have been very slow to reply. I got through to someone, but I'm kind of playing musical chairs, not trying to get through to the next person. So we'll try to take the momentum into Monday, and we'll see what we could do. If not, maybe we'll just take over a cafe's terrace or something. Maybe we'll FaceTime Rahul or something just so he doesn't have FOMO.
Yeah, I'm in, man.
Appreciate you both coming on, man. And yeah, if you guys came on from Adrian's channel or from Sam's podcast, I make Inter-related content usually, but this summer, just as Sam, I'll be focusing on Italy, Azzurri stuff, previews, and post-match reactions. So yeah, probably you might see Sam if he's down to come on, and Adrian, if you're down to come on the next few matches as well, you might see them again on my channel.
Yeah, would love to anytime you want, man. The pride of Modena, baby. Rahul Sharma. Let's go. I love the Italian content, bro. I'm happy you're doing this, bro.
Yeah, good. Man, no, it's so good. I feel pumped. I'm gonna struggle to sleep. I'm just gonna be hyped watching the highlights once again. But yeah, guys, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. And always, Forza Italia.
Forza Italia.
Forza Portugal.